What's good, YouTube? If you don't know who, then we don't know you. It's the one and only LB, and we got a special video for y'all today. Today we're going to be going over the top 5 guard builds in NBA 2K21 current gen. Now, this will be in my own opinion. I will be ranking them based on my own opinion, but they're also going to be based off of how the game operates, how the game works, how the game sliders are, how Mike Wang and other developers have implemented defense, shooting, other things like that, dribble moves and whatsoever, and how useful these builds are based on those things in this game. Now, before we jump into it, I do want to let y'all know I do stream on Twitch. That is my primary platform. I live stream. I play 2K Park on Twitch. Schedule will be posted on my channel on my homepage, so go check that out. I will link my Twitch in the top of the description. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. All right, jumping right into it, coming in at number 5 is the slashing playmaker or pure playmaker, depending on how you spread out the points. You're gonna get either one of those two names, and it is the build that I used past tense primarily when 2K21 current gen first came out. I still have it, it's maxed out and everything. I don't use it quite frequently because I have run into some issues with it, but I think it is still a very useful build depending on how it's used and what lineups it's used in. Now, this build, depending on how you build it, you can get 99 speed with a couple of the physical pie charts that are on there. It also gets 75 three-pointer, 82 mid-range, 14 shooting badges with this spread that I made, but 88 driving layup, 69 driving dunk just to start with, 6 finishing badges, and then it gets 8 defensive badges. Again, that's the way that I spread the points out. That's the way that I would make it if I were to make this build again. And this again is probably at the 6'5" height. Now, it is a liability on shooting. It is a bit of a liability, but again, if you use it in the right way, you have the right badges, you have hotspots, you got, teammates that have got floor general or dimer, jump shot boost, you shouldn't have too big of a problem, but it is a bit of a liability. I'm not going to lie, but it can still be a very useful build. It can get open, get to the rim. It can set up teammates. It's got plenty of playmaking, and you can even change it up, take some of the playmaking off, take some of the finishing off, and add a little bit more to the shooting or add a little bit more to the defense, wherever you want to put it. But this build can still be very useful. I usually go built. This one, 6'5", minimum weight. Well, not minimum, but up from minimum, because there's no extra benefit to going lower. You could, but doesn't really matter. 176. Go up on the wingspan 1 or 2 and not lose too much on shooting. Get a little bit in finishing, a little bit of defense as well, but keeping it default, dropping it, all up to you. But as you go through, pick whatever takeover you want. You'll see you get the slashing playmaker title. All right, coming in at number 4 is the TwoWay Sharp. This one is at the shooting guard position. This build is also known as the perimeter lockdown from last year, the rebounding guard from last year. Also, it's known by two-way mid-range shooter, I believe, this year as well, depending on how you spread out the points. I know a lot of it is dependent upon your wingspan. You change your wingspan, you change your height as well. It will give you a different title, but it's essentially all the same build. The TwoWay Sharp is coming in at number 4. This build is not as useful as it used to be in 2K20 when it was labeled the rebounding guard and the perimeter lock. It's not as useful, but same as the playmaker, it is still a good build in my opinion, depending on how you use it and what lineups you use it in. Now, the badge spread that I've got here gives it 16 shooting, which is good for a spot up shooter. On offense, this build is going to be a spot up shooter. It's not a primary ball handler. It is just a off ball shooter, spot up guy. It's got 6 playmaking, which is good for just a couple badges. And then the defense, it's got mid 80s on the defensive ratings for perimeter, and then low 90 for the steal, and then 52 interior defense, and then decent rebounding. Again, all of these will go up by a few points once you max out the build, but with 16 shooting and 22 defense, that's plenty of badges to do what this build needs to do to spot up on the offensive end and get some stops and play some defense on the other end. So this build is coming in at number 4. Probably go 6'5", just about minimum weight. Give it some speed, default wingspan, go up on the wingspan, go lower on the wingspan, kind of up to you. Probably best to go a little bit lower to give you a little bit more on the shooting. So once you max the build out, it starts to get closer to that 85, 86 threshold. So you can be a little bit more consistent with the shooting, but all up to you. Takeover also all up to you. But once you click through, you will see you'll get your label two-way sharpshooter, or again, two-way mid-range shooter if you distribute the points a little bit different or change your wingspan or things like that. Coming in at number 3 is going to be the ThreeLevel Score. This is the one with the green and blue pie chart, a little bit more green than blue. So you only get Hall of Fame shooting badges, not Hall of Fame finishing. Now this build is a build that I have personally used. It is a scorer and off guard, not a primary ball handler, but it is a very good offensive build. And then it has just about the same defense as any other build that doesn't get Hall of Fame defense. But as you can see, it gets 84 3-pointer to start with, 86 mid-range, 20 shooting badges, which again, it's pretty much a spot up build. So 20 shooting badges at the Hall of Fame level is plenty. And then it gets 12 finishing with, decent finishing stats. Once you get to 99, it's a little bit better. It's good, but once the build is maxed out, it's a good all-around score, a good off guard. The speed, once you max it out, depending on how you do the weight, can be somewhere in the low 90s. So it'll be decently fast, pretty fast for an off guard, and then it's just a very good scoring build. Click through. Doesn't matter what height, you go 6'5", you stick with 84 3-pointer, 86 mid-range, and the stats that you see up on the screen. If you go a little bit shorter, it's probably going to boost your defense a little bit. It's probably going to boost your shooting a little bit as well. But like I said, you drop the weight, get 87 speed, 84 acceleration, which again, once you get past 95, it'll go up into the 90s plus that gym rat. If it's still +5, you'll get a +9 with gym rat, which will give you 96 speed. Doesn't matter what you go on the wingspan, that's up to you. Whichever takeover is up to you, but once you click through, you'll see you get the name ThreeLevel Score. All right, coming in at number 2 is one of my personal favorites. This is basically my main build because I run with guys that have guards, so we need a defensive player, a player that can lock down the paint, and this build is very versatile. It is the two-way finisher, the pure red pie chart. Gets 30 Hall of Fame badge upgrades for defense. It gets 15 for finishing, and then 9 playmaking with the spread that I've given it. It doesn't get really anything for shooting, so I did not put anything for shooting, but defensively, this build is a monster. Now, again, it gets 30 upgrades, which allows you to do a lot depending on what type of game you're playing. If you're playing 2s, if you're playing 3s, if you're playing against guards, if you're playing against bigs, it gives you the room to switch up your badges and pretty much guard whoever with what your badge and attribute spread is. Now, This one, I highly recommend making it taller because again, it is very versatile and still very, very good when you go up on the height. I personally made mine 6'8". As you can see, the stats on the 6'8", still 80s pretty much down the row for defense, you know, mid 80s for block, rebounding, perimeter defense, and then interior defense is at 75 as it is right now. But that is still all very good. It makes it a very, very versatile defender. Again, it still gets 30 upgrades at the Hall of Fame level. So even with it not being up in the 90s, those points, that spread is still very good. Again, this is a build that I personally use at 6'8", lowest weight possible to get the max amount of speed and acceleration, because once it's maxed out, it gets above 90 speed. And this is a build that basically is a big man. If you make it at 6'8", it is basically a big man that has the speed of a guard and can guard any position. Obviously, as a defender, you want to go max wingspan, but again, that is up to you as well. But I would personally go max wingspan because this is a primary defender. Lockdown takeover, of course, because that's where you got the most badges. And then you see you get the two-way finisher. And coming in at number 1 is the Playmaking shot creator. Of course, this is the number 1 build in NBA 2K21 current gen. Yes, the meta. Now, this build has become the number 1 build this year, mainly because of how the shooting was adjusted from 2K20 going into 2K21 current gen. It was changed very, very differently by Mike Wang and whatever other developers had a hand in that. But in years past, we've seen where you didn't have to have such a high 3-ball and too many shooting badges to be a good shooter, to be a consistent shooter, and to be a decent threat. Now, this year, it's very different. It's been changed, and it's like if you don't have a good 3-point rating and a lot of shooting badges and you don't basically have shooting or shot creating in your name, your shot's not going to be respected. You are not respected at all. So, and rightfully so, because again, it was changed very heavily. So even builds that were able to shoot pretty consistently in years past, like the two-way slashing Playmaker last year, very popular build. A lot of people saw that working for them, and that build didn't get very much shooting, didn't get very much shooting badges, but a lot of people were able to find a way to shoot very consistently on that build. So this year, much different. Playmaking shot creator is pretty much the meta if you want to be a guard that has the ability to shoot and handle the ball. The spread that I've got here, 21 shooting badges, 23 playmaking, 8 defensive. You could go lower on the defense to get a little bit more finishing or shooting or playmaking, however you want to do it. But this is the number 1 build on 2K21 current gen. Any height, most people were going about 6'3", 6'4". I personally went 6'5" on the one that I recently built. Minimum weight, of course. Get the most speed. Wingspan is up to you. Depends on if you want to get your 86 ball control off rip or wait for it. Obviously, with this one at 6'5", you can't get it off rip. But if you go 6'4", you do get it off rip. I went 6'5" and got 84 ball control, so I would have to max out my build and get it up above 95 to get that 86 ball control off rip. But again, that's all up to you how you want to do it. Takeover, up to you. And then when you click through, you'll see you get the name Playmaking Shot Creator. This is the number 1 build on NBA 2K21. And that's going to wrap it up for this one, man. If you enjoyed the content, be sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe. I will be coming with another video, a top 5 builds video, but for the bigs. But leave a comment. Let me know if you would have made the build, the list any differently. If you think some builds should have made it over other builds, or just drop a comment. Tell me your top 5. Let me know. I want to see what you guys think, and then maybe we'll do a video with a different top 5 or an underrated top 5. But Before I get out of here, reminder that I do stream on Twitch. I will be playing 2K21 on Twitch. Be sure to go check out my schedule on my Twitch channel. It will be posted on there. But other than that, I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.